Today is another great day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. My name is Stacy, and I hope that you're staying safe, maintaining social distancing, and observing high levels of hygiene. I would like to welcome you all to our Sunday school service. First, we'll start with a word of prayer, and the other activities include praise and worship, Bible story, lesson activity, and a Bible lesson. Hope you all have the super 3 with you. Enjoy and be blessed.
Let's pause for the word of prayer. Lord, thank you for this day I've given us. Lord, I pray for my guidance, protect us as we start this service. Lord, I pray you may protect us as we continue this service, Lord. Lord, I pray for the people who have corona, Lord, may you heal them and bless them, Lord. In Jesus' name, pray and believe.
Amen.
Nitatangaza neno lake Bwana kwa mataifa mbalimbali. Nitatangaza neno lake Bwana kwa mataifa mbalimbali. Na nikienda upande wa Masai
In the Old Testament, God picked out a great place for his people to live. But, long story short, they ended up in Egypt for 400 years instead. God led his people back to this land he promised to give them, but there was a problem. Other people moved in while God's people were gone. God picked a man named Joshua to be the leader of Israel. He had watched Moses lead God's people for years, so he learned to go when God said go and stay when God said stay. Joshua got really good at obeying God in the little things and in the big things by obeying his leader Moses. God gave Joshua very specific directions on how to defeat the people who were living in God's promised land. It wasn't a normal kind of battle plan at all, but Joshua trusted God so much that he was ready to obey no matter what God asked. The first enemy city they came to was Jericho. Jericho had a big tall wall that protected the city. God told Joshua to line up all of God's people, the Israelites, and march around the city once a day for 6 days. Then on the 7th day, they were to march around the city 7 times. No fighting, no yelling, just marching. So Joshua did just what God said. He led all of the people to line up and obey God too. Even though this plan sounded crazy, and even though the walls of the city were big and tall, Joshua obeyed what God told him to do. On the first day, they marched around the city's big tall wall. No fighting, no yelling, just marching. On the second day, they marched around the city's big tall wall. No fighting, no yelling, just marching. On the third day, they marched around the city's big tall wall. No fighting, no yelling, just marching. You get the picture, right? Same thing on the 4th day, and the 5th day, and the 6th day. It seemed like nothing was happening. Jericho's big tall wall was still big and tall. On the 7th day, God told Joshua to march around the city 7 times. This time, they blew their trumpets and yelled. And guess what? They saw that big tall wall fall. It was a miracle. Because of Joshua's great obedience, the people of Israel obeyed God's instructions too, and God destroyed the big tall wall of Jericho. Joshua continued to obey God in the little things and in the big things. He trusted God no matter what. He led God's people into the promised land, and God made Joshua into a mighty leader. You can read about him in his very own book of the Bible, Joshua.
Make a circle,
3, 4.
a big circle like a sufuria in the kitchen.
Today we are going to play a game. The game we are going to play today is Joshua Says. So Joshua Says is like a game that you do what Joshua orders. But if I do not say Joshua Says, if you do it, you're out of the game. Understood?
Yes.
Now we start. Joshua says, click with the mouth. Now Joshua says, stop clicking. Joshua says, click your fingers. I cannot hear it. Yeah, out. Do it louder. I just see them. I can't hear it.
Kai, bye. Peace.
Joshua says, click your fingers like this. Now louder. Louder, I can't hear it. Okay. Joshua says, put your hands down. I didn't say stop clicking. He didn't stop.
Okay.
So we have a winner. And the winner of today is Lionel. So as a result of winning, he gets a sweet. Here you go. Go Lionel!
Good morning, boys and girls. This morning, let me give you a big thank you, a pressed one, a shaken one, and an overflow because you have taken your time to be with us in this Sunday school service. So welcome, and we will be blessed together. Now from our clip, we saw our Bible story from the book of Joshua, chapter 6, verse 1 to 5. And again, Stacy and her team did a small activity about Joshua 6. And our today's topic is follow instruction. Now from our Bible story, Joshua and Israelites were given instructions to follow for them to get the city of Jericho. And they were to follow this instruction totally and commit themselves to the instruction. Instruction number 1 was, once they were to go around the city once for how many days? 6 days. And they were to be led by 7 priests who were blowing trumpets. And on the 7th day, they were to go to march around that city for how many times? 7 times. Now imagine, children. If Joshua and the Israelites follow all the instructions but fail to observe one of the instructions, do you think God will have repaid them of their disobedience? No. But they were able to get the city. Why? Because they followed all the instructions that were given to them by God. Now, boys and girls, all of us, we are surrounded, we have instruction all over. For example, right now in this season of COVID-19, we have the instruction that have been given to us by our government through the Ministry of Health. And these instructions are, we wash our hands regularly, we maintain that social distance, no hugging, we put on our mask, and stay at home. What happens if you fail to keep one of these instructions? You'll be exposing yourself to this disease. And even I'm sure in every home, in our homes, we have instructions that we are supposed to keep them. Because I know in every home, there is time to wake up, there is time to sleep, there is time to eat, there is time to do house chores, there is time for everything. And for you to win the respect of your parents and of your caregivers, you must follow all the instructions that are given to you. And even in school we have rules that we have to follow them. What happens if you don't keep these rules? We'll be in problem. And on our roads, we have road signs instructions. And when one fails to keep these instructions, road signs, he or she will be in danger. Again, children, like Joshua and the children of Israel, who were given instruction for them to take the city of Jericho, we too, as children of God, we are also marching. Where are we marching? To heaven. And that is why we normally sing, we are marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion. We are marching to Zion. We are going to heaven. Children, let me remind you again that this earth, the life we are living here, it is not our end. We are going to heaven. We are marching to heaven. And we have a lot of instruction that has been given to us by who? By our Father, God our Father. And where do we get this instruction? From the Bible. And that is why in Sunday school we always sing, read your Bible, pray every day, pray every day, pray every day. The Word of God, which is our Bible, is full of instruction that we as children of God, we are supposed to follow them. And so I'm urging us boys and girls this morning that every time you read your Bible, find out the instructions that are there. Follow them. Follow them like Joshua and the Israelites. They followed the instruction. We too should follow the instruction for us to get into heaven. Now, children, as I finish, I want you to remember 4 things. 4 things. I'm very sure that when Joshua and the Israelites were marching around the city of Jericho, it was not an easy job. It was a tedious job. Marching around the whole city. They must have been tired. But they did not give up. So, number 1, we should follow all instruction obediently. We obey all the instruction. Number 2, we should follow all the instructions faithfully. Don't omit any. Follow all the instructions faithfully. Number 3, in all instructions, we should follow them patiently. We should be patient in every instruction that has been given unto us. And every time we are crossing the road, be patient. Don't be in a hurry. And number 4, and that is where our memory verse comes today. Our memory verse for today is from James chapter 1, verse 22, which says, do not deceive yourself by just listening to his word. Instead, put it into practice. Can you memorize that memory verse together? It is very simple. Say after me, James chapter 1, verse 22. It says, do not deceive yourself by just listening to his word. Instead, put it into practice. So I'm leaving you children with these words. That every time we read the word of God is instruction for us. Let us follow them faithfully, obediently, and patiently, and put the word of God into practice. In our daily life, let us practice the word of God. May the Lord help you, strengthen you, and give you all the power to be patient as you follow all the instruction, to be obedient as you follow all the instruction, and to be faithful as you follow all the instruction. Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, thank you for these boys and girls who have listened to your word this morning, O God. In everything they do, O God, help them to be obedient. Help them to be faithful. Help them to be patient in everything they do, so that they may find and get all lessons from you. I also pray that you give our children heavenly defense and protection over any harm in the name of Jesus Christ. Children, God bless you. May the Lord be good to you. Till we meet again next Sunday. Bye.